Hi everyone, this is Mr. Chow from EnglishTuition.org. Now in today's video, we will learn how to excel in essay writing. Now this video is especially for the secondary level. So we will go through some of the common mistakes, all right, so that you know what to look out for. So please try to avoid these mistakes once you know what they are. So let's get started. First mistake number one, that some students realize they have no good way to start an essay. So in other words, they are not really prepared. So when you look at the question, be it personal recount, discursive, descriptive essay, or argumentative essay, they have no good way to start an essay, right? Let me give you some examples, right? For example, you could start an essay with a question, right? Some students refer to this as a rhetorical question, right? So this is to stimulate the mind of the reader, and also a good way to make the reader curious about what you have to say, right? So there's one good way to start. If you're writing a personal recount, you could have started with a dialogue, right? So if there's a conversation happening, right? Sometimes it makes people curious as well, right? What is happening? What is the conversation about? So that will pique their interest, pique their curiosity, okay, and makes them want to read further as to what you have to say, right? It is the same for a flashback. You are writing a personal recount, so instead of leaving all the juicy parts to the climax, you just pick a little bit of the climax and move it to the front, to the start of your essay as part of your introduction, so that you can draw the reader into the essay, right? So here are just a few suggestions, right? And there are so many possible ways for you, to start an essay. So be prepared. Just master maybe at least 1 to 2, maybe even 3 good ways to start for different types of essay, so that you don't have to waste time thinking about how do I start my essay, right? So you're going to have to spend like 5-10 minutes just trying to think, how am I going to start, right? That is time wasted during a test or an exam, and that same time could have been invested into the actual writing of the essay itself. Okay, so spend some time preparing for how you start an essay. You can always use back the same similar techniques over and over again throughout your secondary school years. Okay, let's move on to mistake number 2. Now this is one of the major mistakes that I want to emphasize, because a lot of students, they repeat almost everything in their essay. What do I mean? Right? For example, if they make repeated points in their discursive essays, right? They have already mentioned a point before, and then somewhere down the essay, they mention the same point again. Sometimes in the same way, not even in a paraphrase manner. Okay, so maybe now if you're going to repeat points, right? Just make sure that you're repeating the points because you want to highlight the importance of the point, right? There's a very deliberate intent to emphasize the importance of the point. Okay, but don't just repeat for the sake of repeating, right? Then especially if the point doesn't come across as very important, right? So then why are you repeating the point? Don't repeat the points. Okay, and they're repeating words, repeated adjectives, right? And after a while, it gets very boring. I mean, it's like, can't you think of some other good or better adjectives, right? Why do you have to repeat the same adjectives over and over again? So this doesn't bode well for the student, because the student is presenting himself or herself as somebody who is very weak in vocabulary, right? Simply because of the fact that you're unable to think of a new adjective, right? Some new words that you can use in your essay. Okay, they also use repeated sentence structures, etc., right? So more on this later on, right? Okay, so let's move on to mistake number 3. Okay, essay is somewhat disorganized. Disorganized means some students, even when they go to upper secondary, they have no idea how to do proper paragraphing, right? So in essence, the paragraphs, as long as the ideas are closely related, right? For example, if you have some explanations or some examples to support that one point, then that makes up one paragraph, right? But you don't want to mix different examples that support different points right? And then you have more than 1 point in a single paragraph. All right, so that's a very common mistake, right? So I think another way that we can put this is that some students did not pay attention to the timing. So how does that appear as disorganized, right? So especially when you're doing storytelling, right? Or even when you're writing discursive or argumentative, when is it the right time, okay, to put certain content into the introduction, right? When is it the right time to put certain content into the climax or the conclusion of the essay? So we cannot just, at random throw ideas into the introduction, right? So you're making a big mistake if you're writing a personal recount and you take all the best parts that is meant for the climax and then you put it into the introduction, right? Then you spoil the entire reading experience because you have given the farm away, right? You have given away all the best parts of the story. So please do not do that. Pay attention to the timing and organize your essay properly. Next mistake number 4. Essay does not demonstrate adequate thinking skills, right? So this is not so much a big issue at the primary level, okay, but for the O levels and even the N levels, right? As a more mature student, you are expected to be able to demonstrate at least some form, okay, of thinking, right? What are the thinking skills that you have? For example, right? Some students have very weak reasoning, and it might ask you, right, if you're watching this video, it might ask you, what do you understand by the word reasoning? What is strong reasoning and what is weak reasoning? Now, if you do not know how to answer my questions, right, you do not know how to answer these questions, then it will appear that you need a deeper understanding of the word reasoning so that this can help you with your essay writing. And then some students, right, analytical thinking skills are very important, right? They did not analyze the question properly. So this is a big mistake, right? If it's just a small mistake, right? Maybe you get a borderline pass, right? But if it's a severe mistake and you did not analyze the question properly, it means that you don't really know what the question is asking you and you end up writing out a point, which means you are likely to get a failing grade, right? And this has got nothing to do with language skills. You could have the best language, right? But weak reasoning will pull you down. Weak analytical thinking will pull you down, right? So try to pick up some thinking skills, okay, to support, okay, to combine, right, with your language skills, right, so that you can strengthen the entire essay. Mistake number 5, right? Lack of strong or appropriate examples, right? I find this to be a very common mistake among some of my students. Every time I teach them discursive or argumentative, I think it stems from a lack of reading and lack of awareness of what is happening around you. So whenever they try to come out with examples to support their arguments or support their points, they struggle to do it, right? Or they come up with very weak examples, right? Or they have no examples at all, 0 example, okay? And this is not good if you're trying to, especially for discursive and argumentative essays, right? You want very strong examples or evidence to support the arguments that you make, right? So try to read up, all right? Read up. This is again beyond language, right? So we have thinking that's beyond language. So this is another area, which means that you need some content, right? Some substance that you can use in your essay writing. As for mistake number 6, a lot of students are, let's come back to the, repeating the sentence structures, right? They just do not have a wide variety of words or sentence structures. And they think that using the same words, similar words, or the same sentence structures, it can get them through Sec 1 to Sec 4 and even after the O levels, right? But just to let you know, the O levels are not so easy, right? And examiners can be quite demanding, okay? And they will only award B3 and above grades for students who are able to demonstrate a good understanding, knowledge of grammar, right? A good understanding of good command of the language. So the only way for you to demonstrate that, okay, is to make sure that you vary your words, right? And you vary your sentence structure. If you can use a wide variety of phrases, words, sentence structures, you already score well for your language, right? Coupled with very good content, strong examples, right? Interesting content. Now you have good content together with good language, right? So that's the way that you can excel at the secondary level essay writing. So if you need a recap, to just spend a few minutes just to watch through this video from the beginning to the end. Hopefully you'll gain some new insights. All right. So this is also known as relatively simple sentence structures, right? Why relatively simple, right? Let me explain a little bit. Because the students, when they graduate from PSLE, and they come into Sec 1, Sec 2, over the course of Sec 1, Sec 2, Sec 3, Sec 4, somehow their language skills did not evolve, right? They did not move on to more advanced language abilities. So they are stuck with using simple sentence structures again and again, and it comes across as repetitive, and then they're not showing a lot of what they have learned over the years. Okay, so even if you do not make a single grammar mistake, okay, just by the fact that you keep using the same simple sentence structures all over and over and over again, okay, that does not say a lot about your language ability. So you need to do more, okay, in order to excel in essay writing. Okay, mistake number 7. So I think this is not exactly a mistake, but I think some students worry a bit too much about the minimum word count, right? And these are typically the students who are very concerned with the amount of effort that they need to put in, right? So whenever I ask them before they write an essay, they never ask me anything about the question, right, for clarification purposes. Instead, they ask me, sure, what's the word count, right? So I think the idea behind that is that they just want to meet the minimum word count, just be done with the essay. If you adopt that kind of attitude, then I think most of the time, right, in fact, a lot of my students, based on past experience, they are able to score maximum B4, right, and usually C5, C6. And why is that the case, right? Because you start out on the wrong foot, right? You start out by not focusing on what you are supposed to do as a student, right? And you're worrying about how soon you can finish the essay, right? What amount of effort you need to put in so that you can just meet the minimum word count, right? So that kind of attitude comes across as you just want to do the minimum, right? So if you just want to do the minimum, then you deserve a C5, C6, right? Even a fail, okay? So stop worrying about the minimum word count and focus on what you're supposed to deliver as a student. And I promise you the word count will take care of itself magically, right? In fact, even for my N-level students, they can easily write 450, 500 words, and the minimum word count for N-levels official is only about 350 words, 250 to 350, right? So if you follow the instructions given in the paper, then you write a 350 word essay, you realize that you have a lot more time on your hands, right? So you can actually develop the essay further, to get to 450, 500. Now for O-level students, the strongest students can go up to 550, 600. I think over 600 words is a bit of an overkill. You don't need to go past that, right? But you definitely don't want to just write a 300 word essay, because a primary 6 student can write a 300 word composition, right? So 300 words is more like a composition. There's just not enough content and not enough word count for the examiner to give you a fair assessment of your language abilities. And I can assure you, all the examiners, they want to help you, they want to award you with the marks, but you have to give them very good reason to give you the marks, right? So if you don't even develop your story, right, don't even develop your points, you do not show off your thinking skills, your language skills, then there's no reason for the examiner to give you the marks. All right, with that, we have come to the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you're serious about learning how to excel in essay writing for your O-levels, and you want to sign up for lessons, just please visit englishttuition.org. You'll find all the details over there. I hope you find the video useful. If you do, please do remember to leave a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you again soon in the next video. Bye bye.